Before he became a singer, Luke Bryan worked a variety of jobs that were not particularly enjoyable. Bryan can now joke about them, despite the fact that he claims that one of them was so terrible that it really caused his hair to turn green. In an interview with his record company, Bryan reveals that he worked at Rubo's IGA supermarket in Leesburg, Georgia, between the ages of 12 and 13. Mondays and Tuesdays were the days when I worked throughout the summers. At the same time, I cleaned and stocked the produce. They made a payment to me behind my back. The brown lettuce was taken off in its entirety by me. Beginning when he was 15 years old, Bryan worked as a cashier at Kmart for a period of 2 months before returning to Rubo's. It was more easy to shop at the grocery store, but he concedes that there was a significant benefit that he did not receive from working for the retail business. Despite this, Bryan recalls that the benefits were rather impressive. During the blue light special, you would be given an hour of your time. As a result, I came back to Rubo's, but eventually I left the company and began working for my father. At this point in time, Bryan, who is the son of a peanut farmer, characterizes his job as just awful. I was driving tractors through cotton all day and spraying pesticides that eventually would turn your hair green, he distinctly recalls. In addition to that, at some point in time, I began playing the guitar. Immediately following my graduation from college, I returned to my father's workplace, where I continued to spray and transport fertilizer. Luke Bryan is now also a singer in the country music genre. From the beginning, Bryan's goals were much more ambitious than simply being a farmer in Georgia. His brother Chris was sadly murdered in an accident, which caused his plans to relocate to Nashville to be delayed. These preparations were delayed. On the other hand, Bryan ultimately relocated to Music City in order to realize his childhood ambition of being a successful country music artist. This decision was made with the encouragement of his father. On the other hand, not even Bryan could have anticipated the level of success that he would achieve. This is the 49-year-old artist's 32nd #1 hit, which he achieved with the song "Country Song Came On." That he still has a lot of things he wants to do may come as a surprise to you. The thing with me is, I'm just enjoying every aspect of my career, Bryan says in an interview with Billboard. I continue to take great pleasure in cultivating my skills as a singer, composer, and performer. And then the most important thing is to come out there and make an effort to continue having hits and for the people to keep coming in. Luke Bryan, a country music superstar who is known for singles such as Country Girl, Shake It For Me, and his stint as a judge on American Idol Season 23, recently shared a story from his pre-fame days that was both hilarious and humbling. The story put fans in fits of laughter. During an interview that took place on the Bobby Bones Show on August 27, 2025, Bryan related a story about a summer work that he had at a chemical plant in his hometown of Leesburg, Georgia. The job was so terrible that it literally caused his hair to turn green. A window into the down-to-earth grit that defined Bryan's journey from a small-town youngster to a Nashville celebrity is provided by the incident, which appeared again through viral clips on. This demonstrates that even celebrities have their fair share of strange and humiliating events. Long before he was selling out stadiums and mentoring Idol finalists like John Foster, who finished in second place, Luke Bryan was just another Georgia teenager trying to earn a living. At the age of 17, Bryan began working at a chemical company in the area that manufactured agricultural products such as fertilizers and pesticides. This plant was located in the summer of 1994. I was young, dumb, and needed cash for college, Bryan joked on the show, so laying the groundwork for a narrative that is both cringe-worthy and adorable in equal measure. As Bryan discovered, the job, which consisted of cleaning industrial vats and managing toxic concoctions, was not at all attractive. In addition, the job came with some unanticipated side effects. An expansive complex, the plant was situated just outside of Leesburg, and its personnel were responsible for the mixing of powerful chemicals for the purpose of agricultural treatments. As part of his job, Bryan was responsible for cleaning the enormous vats that were used to contain these concoctions. He frequently used a pressure washer to climb into the vats. His recollection was filled with laughter as he recalled, "It was hot, sweaty, and smelt like a science experiment gone wrong. Every day when I returned home, I would look as though I had just emerged from a combat zone. Even though Bryan was wearing protective gear, he was not completely sheltered from the impacts of the chemicals, which included compounds based on copper. The chemicals were particularly severe. Towards the conclusion of his first week, he became aware of something that was concerning. The color of his sandy blonde hair was beginning to change into a sickly green. The disaster that is green hair. The green hair that Bryan wore, which he characterized as being somewhere between lime and swamp water, became the topic of conversation within the facility. He stated, "My coworkers thought it was hilarious, and I concurred with them. They would refer to me as Swamp Thing or the Jolly Green Giant each and every time I stepped through the door." The copper sulfate that was present in the vats was the cause. Copper sulfate is a chemical that is frequently found in agricultural products and has the potential to leave behind a greenish residue when it comes into contact with hair or skin. In spite of the fact that he washed his hair multiple times, the color remained on his hair for several weeks, transforming his summer employment into a memorable, albeit embarrassing, chapter in his youth. "I would go to the pool with my friends, and my hair would just glow under the sun," Bryan recounted, imitating the humiliation he felt about his hair when he was a teenager. "I used everything I could think of, including vinegar, lemon juice, and even my mother's shampoo, but that green simply wouldn't budge." Eventually, his mother, Leclerc, took him to a salon, where a stylist used a clarifying treatment to take the color from his hair. However, before the stylist did so, Bryan had to undergo a great deal of taunting from the people in his small-town community. His voice was filled with laughter as he explained, "In Leesburg, everybody knows everybody, so I was the kid with the green hair for the rest of the summer." Indeed, the job itself was not a walk in the park. In his description, Bryan recounted working 12-hour shifts in blistering heat, frequently going into tiny locations with little to no ventilation. He went on to explain that even if you were wearing a mask and making an effort to avoid taking deep breaths, the chemicals would still make their way into your body. Bryan persevered through the pain for a period of 2 months in order to save money for his first year of college at Georgia Southern University. The salary, which was approximately $5 per hour, was barely sufficient to warrant the misery. "I learned that I never wanted to do that again," he stated. "It taught me that. I was aware that music was my escape route." A lesson on humor and the power of resilience. The green hair story, albeit being humorous, highlights the tenacity that has been the defining characteristic of Bryan's career. The chemical plant job put him to the test, despite the fact that he had grown up in a farming family and was therefore accustomed to challenging work. "It was the kind of job that makes you appreciate every opportunity you get later in life," he observed. "I could not have asked for a better job." During the summer of 1994, he experienced a defining moment that compelled him to pursue his passion for music with an even greater level of devotion. Even before he enrolled at Georgia Southern, he was already performing at local bars, refining the stage presence that would eventually make him a country music celebrity. He was already practicing his stage appearance. One of the things that has always contributed to Bryan's allure is his capacity to laugh at himself. During an appearance on the Bobby Bones show, he made a joke about how the green hair fiasco was probably the closest I ever got to being a punk rocker. He was referring to the ridiculousness of the situation. Fans on expressed their agreement with his sense of humor by posting things like, "Luke Bryan with green hair is the country music plot twist we didn't know we needed," and imagining him singing "Huntin', Fishin', and Lovin' every day with a lime green mullet. The narrative has struck a chord with fans because it humanizes Bryan and serves as a reminder that even a famed musician who has achieved 30 #1 songs and a net worth of $140 million began from a humble and chaotic background. A journey from green hair to stardom in Nashville. It is the job at the chemical factory that Bryan remembers the most vividly, despite the fact that he also worked as a grocery store clerk and as a laborer in a peanut mill. Bryan's experience with odd jobs was not limited to just that one. In spite of the fact that it was the worst, he stated, "It gave me stories." His rise to prominence in Nashville was fueled by the stories he told, in addition to his work ethic. After arriving to Music City in 2001, Bryan began performing at honky-tonks such as Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. In 2007, he signed a record deal with Capitol Nashville, which was his first major album deal. I'll Stay Me, his first album, served as the catalyst for his career, and subsequent songs such as Crash My Party and Play It Again solidified his position as a dominant figure in the country music industry. An additional connection may be made between Bryan's green hair incident and his work on American Idol, where he is recognized for providing hopefuls with advice that is relatable to them. "I've had jobs that made me want to quit, but music kept me going," he told young musicians like John Foster during season 23, 2025, frequently drawing on his personal experiences to inspire them. He said this in order to encourage them to continue their careers. Due to the fact that his realism strikes a chord with both the participants and the audience, stories such as the accident that occurred at the chemical plant are an excellent illustration of his grounded perspective, an internet phenomenon and an enduring legacy. The tale about the green hair got steam after clips from the interview that took place on the Bobby Bones show were shared online. Fans and media publications such as Taste of Country and People went on to cover the story. An online meme that was created by a fan and featured a photoshopped version of Bryan as a teenager with neon green hair went viral and received thousands of likes. The post was shared by Bryan himself, who added, "You guys are too much. That hair was terrible, but it wasn't that terrible." Fans have expressed their own stories of dreadful summer occupations, ranging from cleaning fish markets to painting houses in the Georgia heat as a result of the event, which has triggered feelings of nostalgia among them or others. During the time that Bryan is getting ready for his Mind of a Country Boy tour in 2026 and continuing his duties as a judge on American Idol, the story of his green hair serves as a reminder of his roots. This story is about perseverance, humor, and the kind of grit that is characteristic of his music, which comes from a tiny village. According to what he said with Bobby Bones, "I wouldn't trade that summer for anything. It not only made me who I am, but it also made me laugh a lot. The fact that Luke Bryan's star shines brighter than ever before, despite having a green-tinted past, is demonstrated by the fact that it provides viewers with a glimpse inside the man who wears the cowboy hat.